The blue light of Earth shone through the viewport as Captain John Carter looked out at his homeworld. For centuries, humanity had kept to itself, building its strength while staying hidden from the great war that raged across the stars. The captain turned away from the view and walked across the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, Earth's most powerful battleship. "Captain, urgent message from command," said Communications Officer Diane Miller, her voice breaking the quiet of the bridge. John moved quickly to her station. His tall frame cast a shadow over the flashing console. "Put it through." Admiral William Grant's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was grim. "Captain Carter, isolation protocol is suspended. You are to take the Defiant beyond our solar system immediately." The bridge crew fell silent. For over 200 years, Earth ships had never ventured beyond Pluto. "Sir, what's happened?" John asked. "An alien ship crashed near our Pacific base 20 hours ago. The pilot was barely alive. He's an ambassador from something called the Allied Worlds Coalition. They're losing a war against an empire called the Kelthid." The admiral paused. "They're asking for our help." John felt the weight of history pressing down on him. "Why us, sir? Why now?" The Security Council voted. Earth can no longer hide while half the galaxy burns. The Defiant is our most advanced ship, and you're our best captain. The admiral's voice softened. "This ambassador says their civilization faces complete destruction. We can't stand by and do nothing." 2 hours later, John stood in the Defiant's main hangar as his crew assembled. 400 men and women who thought they were on a routine training mission now faced the unknown. "The ship is ready, Captain," said Chief Engineer Olivia Sutton. Her hands were stained with engine grease, and dark circles showed under her eyes. "The quantum phase shields are at full power. Our gravitational drives are calibrated for long jumps." "Good work, Olivia," John said. "How are the weapons systems?" Lisa Wright stepped forward. The weapons specialist had served with John for 5 years. "Plasma fusion cannons are charged. If we need to fight, we're ready." Dr. Alan Moss joined them, carrying a datapad. The xenobiologist looked excited despite the danger. "I've reviewed everything we know about galactic biology from the ambassador's ship. It's not much, but it's a start." Sam Reeves, the tactical officer, was the last to arrive. His face was serious as always. "Navigation is set, Captain. We can jump whenever you give the order." John looked at his team. The best Earth had to offer. None of them had ever expected to be the first humans to officially contact alien civilizations, let alone enter a war. "I know this isn't what any of you signed up for," John said. "But today, Earth takes its place among the stars. The people out there are fighting for their lives. We don't know them, but they're not so different from us. They want to live, to see their children grow up. Today, we show the galaxy what humans stand for." John turned and walked toward the bridge, his team following behind. "All hands, prepare for jump," he announced over the ship's speakers. "We are leaving Earth space." The massive engines of the Defiant hummed to life. Energy coursed through the ship as the gravitational drives bent space around them. On the bridge, John took his command chair. "Lieutenant Miller, send our last message to Earth." Diane nodded. "Message sent, Captain. Engage drives." The stars outside stretched into lines, and then vanished completely as the Defiant entered the jump. For a moment, there was nothing but darkness. Then, with a flash of light, the ship emerged at the edge of Allied space. What they saw made even the battle-hardened crew gasp. Dozens of damaged ships drifted through space. A massive battle was raging around them, alien vessels firing strange weapons at each other as smaller ships tried to escape. Earth had arrived at the galactic battlefield, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain John Carter gripped his command chair as the U.S. Defiant hovered at the edge of the battle. 3 large purple ships with sharp, blade-like wings were attacking a group of smaller vessels. The smaller ships looked like they carried no weapons. They were civilian transports. "Those must be Kelthid attack ships," Sam Reeves said, pointing to the purple vessels. "And they're firing on refugee ships." John's orders had been clear: observe only, remain hidden, gather information. But as he watched another transport explode, those orders felt wrong. "How many people on those refugee ships?" John asked. Dr. Alan Moss checked his screen. "Based on their size, thousands on each. Mostly families, if the Allied ambassador's information is correct." John stood up. "Weapons officer Wright, target the lead Kelthid ship. Aim for their engines." Lisa Wright looked up in surprise. "Captain, our orders." "I know our orders," John said firmly, "but I won't watch a massacre. Humanity's first act in this war won't be standing by while innocent people die." Lisa nodded and turned to her console. Plasma fusion cannons locked on target. "Fire," John ordered. Bright blue energy shot from the Defiant toward the Lid Kelthid ship. The beam cut through the enemy vessel's rear section like it was paper. The Kelthid ship spun out of control, its engines dead. The other Kelthid ships stopped their attack on the transports. They turned, searching for this new threat. "They've spotted us," Olivia Sutton called from her engineering station, quantum shields holding at full strength. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from one of the Allied ships," Diane Miller said. "Put it through," John replied. A face appeared on screen, blue-skinned with 4 eyes and no visible nose. The alien wore what looked like a military uniform with bright symbols across the chest. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Zex Thrall of the Allied Worlds Coalition. Identify yourself immediately." John straightened his uniform. Earth's first official contact with an alien military commander would be remembered forever. "This is Captain John Carter of the U.S. Defiant, representing Earth. We received your ambassador's distress call and have come to offer assistance." The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Earth, we sent scouts to many systems seeking help. I didn't expect any to answer, especially not with a warship of such capability." More Kelthid ships appeared in the distance, moving toward them quickly. "Admiral, I suggest we continue this conversation somewhere safer," John said. "We'll escort your remaining transports." The Admiral nodded. "Follow us to the jump point. And thank you, Earth ship." As the transmission ended, Lisa called out, "Captain, the Kelthid are launching fighters. At least 30 small craft heading our way." "Tactical. Give me options," John ordered. Sam studied his display. "Their formation suggests they've never faced our technology before. They're spreading out to surround us like we're a conventional ship." "Perfect," John said. "Olivia, can we do a shield pulse?" The engineer grinned. "Just like we practiced in the asteroid belt." "Yes, sir." "All hands, brace for maneuver," John announced. Diane warned the Allied ships. When the Kelthid fighters closed in, John gave the order. "Now." The Defiant's quantum shields expanded outward in a wave of blue energy. The pulse caught the fighters, sending them spinning away like leaves in a hurricane. None were destroyed, but all were disabled. Admiral Zex Thrall's voice came through the comm again. "By the stars, what kind of ship is that?" "Just a taste of what humanity can offer as allies," John replied. "Let's get your people to safety, Admiral. Then we can discuss how we might help each other." As the Defiant moved to protect the refugee ships, whispers spread through the Allied fleet. Humans had arrived on the battlefield. And no one, not even the mighty Kelthid Empire, had seen anything like them before. 3 days after their first battle, the U.S. Defiant floated in the dark space near the Allied command station. The huge ring-shaped structure spun slowly, housing thousands of refugees and military personnel from a dozen different worlds. Captain John Carter sat in the station's meeting room with his senior officers. Across from them sat Admiral Zex Thrall and his commanders. The blue-skinned alien had been both grateful and suspicious since their first meeting. "Your ship's performance was unexpected," Admiral Zex Thrall said. "No one has stood against Kelthid forces like that in years." John nodded. "We're glad we could help." Yet you arrived just when we needed you. Some of my officers find that convenient. The Admiral's 4 eyes narrowed. And your technology is unlike anything in known space. Lisa Wright shifted in her seat. John could tell his weapons officer was getting angry. We came because your ambassador crashed on our world, John said calmly. We have no alliance with the Kelthid. We want to help. The Admiral pushed a data device across the table. Then help us with this. The Kelthid have built something they call the Void Cascade. It has already destroyed 3 of our worlds. Dr. Alan Moss picked up the device and studied it. A planet killer weapon. Yes, and they're building more, replied the Admiral. His voice dropped lower. We need to know where they're being made. Sam Reeves looked up from the data. You want us to go into Kelthid space. Your ship has abilities ours do not, the Admiral said. You might succeed where our scouts have failed. After the meeting, back on the Defiant, John gathered his team in the ship's conference room. They're using us, Lisa said, pacing the room. Sending us on a suicide mission while they learn about our technology. Olivia Sutton nodded in agreement. They've tried to scan our systems 3 times since we arrived. Their engineers keep asking innocent questions about our shield design. We can't blame them for being careful, John said. They've been losing this war for years. The Void Cascade is real, Dr. Moss added, showing them the data. This weapon creates a chain reaction in a planet's core. Everything on the surface is pulled inward before the planet collapses. He shook his head. Billions dead in minutes. The room fell silent. So we go, John finally said. But we go careful. Sam, plot a course that keeps us away from known Kelthid patrol routes. Sam nodded. I'll have it ready in an hour. Lisa, keep weapons hot but hidden. Olivia, I want our cloaking system at maximum. There's something else, Dr. Moss said quietly. The Admiral is assigning a liaison officer to join us. Someone named Krell. John frowned. A spy, you mean? 2 hours later, they met Officer Krell. The alien was tall and thin with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand. His eyes were large and completely black. I will observe and advise, Krell said stiffly. My people fought the Kelthid for 3 generations before joining the Allied worlds. And what happened to your world? John asked. It was the first to fall to the Void Cascade, Krell replied, his voice empty of emotion. I will do whatever is necessary to stop them from destroying more. The Defiant slipped away from the Allied station that night. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible. Fly deep into enemy territory, find the Kelthid weapon factories, and return with information that could save billions of lives. As they activated the cloaking technology, John looked at his crew and their new alien guest. Trust was in short supply, but they had no choice now. The Defiant was going behind enemy lines, where no human had ever gone before. The U.S. Defiant drifted silently through Kelthid space. For 5 days, they had moved deeper into enemy territory, their cloaking technology keeping them hidden from Kelthid sensors. The bridge was quiet, the crew tense. Officer Krell stood beside Captain John Carter, watching the stars. We are approaching the Nexus system, the alien said. If the weapon factories exist, they will be here. Sam, take us in slow, John ordered. Diane, monitor all communications. I want to know if anyone spots us. As they entered the system, they saw it. A massive structure orbited the 4th planet, a factory complex larger than any space station humans had ever built. Incredible, Dr. Alan Moss whispered. The energy readings are off the charts. Lisa Wright studied her weapons display. I count at least 30 defense platforms, heavy guns, and those ships. She pointed to the dark, blade-shaped vessels patrolling nearby. There must be 100 Kelthid warships. Officer Krell's face showed no emotion, but his hands trembled slightly. This is where they built the weapon that destroyed my world. Olivia, can we get closer without being detected? John asked. Chief Engineer Sutton nodded. The cloaking field is holding, but I wouldn't get too close to those sensor arrays. The Defiant moved carefully around the edge of the system, gathering data on the factory. Dr. Moss worked with Krell to identify the key components of the Void Cascade weapon being assembled. "Captain," Diane called suddenly. "I'm picking up a strange signal. It's not Kelthid. It's coming from inside the factory." Krell moved quickly to her station. "That's impossible. Let me see." John joined them, looking at the signal pattern. "Can you decode it?" "It's encrypted," Diane replied. "But the base pattern is similar to Earth communications." The bridge fell silent. "Are you saying there are humans working with the Kelthid?" Lisa asked, her voice sharp with disbelief. "Or human prisoners," Dr. Moss suggested. John studied the signal. "We need to know more." "Can we trace it to its exact location?" "Yes, but we'll need to get closer," Diane said. "Too risky," Krell stated firmly. "We have the factory location. We should return to Allied space immediately." John considered the aliens' words. Their mission was reconnaissance only. But if humans were somehow involved with the Kelthid weapons, "We get closer," John decided, "but carefully. Sam, plot a course that keeps us behind that moon for cover." As they moved toward the factory, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. "Energy spike," Olivia shouted. "Something's scanning us." "Impossible," Krell said. "Your cloaking technology." "They can see us," Lisa interrupted. "Multiple ships breaking formation, heading our way." John didn't hesitate. "Battle stations. Sam, get us out of here." "Lisa, charge weapons but hold fire unless I give the order." The Defiant turned sharply, accelerating away from the factory. 6 Kelthid ships pursued them, their strange engines glowing purple against the black of space. "They're gaining," Sam reported, "and more ships launching from the factory." "We can't outrun them all," John said. "Olivia, can we jump?" "The drives need 30 seconds to charge," she replied. The first shots from the Kelthid ships flashed past the Defiant. One struck the rear shields, making the whole ship shudder. "Return fire," John ordered. "Target their engines only." The Defiant's plasma fusion cannons fired, blue energy cutting through space. 2 Kelthid ships spun out of control, but the others kept coming. 10 seconds to jump," Olivia called. Another hit rocked the ship. Sparks flew from a console on the bridge. "Shields at 60%, Lisa reported. 5 seconds. The pursuing ships fired again. This time, the hit was harder. "Jump now," John ordered. The stars stretched around them, and the Defiant vanished into the jump, leaving the Kelthid ships behind. They had escaped, but their secret was out. Humanity's presence in the war could no longer be hidden. The U.S. Defiant limped back to Allied space, its hull scorched from Kelthid weapons fire. Captain John Carter sat in his ready room, reviewing the data they had gathered. The door chimed. "Enter," he called. Admiral Zex Thrall walked in, followed by Officer Krell. The Admiral's 4 eyes scanned the room before settling on John. "Your mission was a success, Captain," the Admiral said. "The location of the weapon factory is invaluable." "But something went wrong," John replied. "They detected us through our cloaking technology." "That should be impossible." Krell stepped forward. "Perhaps your technology is not as advanced as you believe." John ignored the comment. "We also detected a signal that matched Earth communication patterns." The Admiral and Krell exchanged a quick glance that John didn't miss. "That is concerning," the Admiral said slowly. "But our priority now is planning our attack on the factory. The Allied Council requests your presence at our command station for a strategy meeting." After they left, John called his senior officers. "I don't trust them," Lisa Wright said immediately. "That look they shared when you mentioned the Earth signal. They know something." Sam Reeves nodded. "And now they want us at their command station, away from our ship." "But we need allies," Dr. Moss reminded them. "We can't fight the Kelthid alone." "We go," John decided, "but carefully. Olivia, I want you to stay aboard with half the crew. Keep the engines ready. 2 days later, John stood before the Allied High Council. 12 alien leaders from different worlds sat in a semicircle, with Admiral Zex, Thrall, at the center. Lisa, Sam, and Dr. Moss stood behind John, while armed Allied guards lined the walls. The Defiant's data confirms the location of 3 Void Cascade factories, the Admiral told the Council. We must strike now, before they complete more weapons. An elderly council member with skin like tree bark spoke. And what does Earth ask in return for this information? For their continued help. John stepped forward. Earth seeks only an end to this war and security for all peaceful worlds. We propose a formal alliance. A loud explosion cut him off. The room shook, and alarms began to sound throughout the station. We're under attack. Someone shouted. The Kelthid found us, another council member cried. Admiral Zex, Thrall raised his hand. Not the Kelthid. This is internal. He looked directly at John. Security forces, detain the humans. The guards around the room raised their weapons, pointing them at John and his officers. What is this? John demanded. A necessary step, the Admiral replied. Your ship's technology is too valuable to leave in human hands, especially now that we know the Kelthid have human allies. We have no alliance with the Kelthid. The evidence suggests otherwise, Krell said, entering the room with more armed guards. The signal you detected was a trap, and you led us right to it. Another explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered. This isn't a Kelthid attack, Sam whispered to John. This is a coup. Some faction of the Allied military is making their move. John assessed the situation quickly. 8 guards, all with weapons trained on them. The council members looked frightened and confused. Admiral, John said calmly, if you want our help, this isn't the way to get it. We don't need your help anymore, the Admiral replied. Just your ship. Lisa moved closer to John. On your signal, Captain, she whispered. John caught Sam's eye and gave a slight nod. In training exercises on Earth, they had practiced for situations like this many times. Now, John shouted. Sam dropped to the floor, sweeping the legs of the nearest guard. Lisa grabbed the guard's weapon and fired at the ceiling lights, plunging the room into darkness. Dr. Moss threw a small device that released a blinding flash. In the chaos, the 4 humans fought their way to the door. They had to get back to the Defiant before the Allied forces could take control of their ship. As they ran through the corridors of the station, John activated his emergency communicator. Olivia, prepare for immediate departure. The Alliance is off. I repeat, the Alliance is off. Alarms blared as Captain John Carter and his officers raced through the twisting corridors of the Allied station. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. This way, Sam Reeves called, checking the small map on his wrist device. The docking bay is 2 levels down. They turned a corner and found 3 Allied guards blocking their path. Lisa Wright didn't hesitate. She fired her stolen weapon on stun, dropping 2 guards before they could react. Dr. Moss threw a smoke device, filling the hallway with thick gray mist. In the confusion, they pushed past the remaining guard. Olivia, status report, John called into his communicator as they ran. Chief Engineer Sutton's voice came through with static. Captain, they're trying to board us. We've sealed the airlocks, but they're threatening to cut through. Hold them off. We're coming, John replied. Be ready to jump the moment we're aboard. They reached a maintenance shaft and began climbing down. 2 levels below, they could see the docking bay where the Defiant was moored. Allied soldiers surrounded the ship, some using cutting tools on the main airlock. We'll never get through all those guards, Dr. Moss said. John studied the situation. We don't have to. Lisa, remember that shield pulse we used against the Kelthid fighters? She nodded. Olivia could trigger it remotely, but it might damage the station. We have no choice, John said. Olivia, on my mark, execute a level 2 shield pulse. Copy that, Captain. Ready when you are. John looked at his team. When the pulse hits, run for the starboard emergency hatch. Everyone ready. They nodded. Now, Olivia. A wave of blue energy burst from the Defiant, knocking the Allied soldiers away from the ship. Alarms wailed as systems throughout the docking bay failed. In the confusion, John and his team sprinted across the open space. Lisa fired at the few guards still standing. They reached the emergency hatch, and John pressed his hand to the scanner. The small door opened, and they climbed inside just as more Allied troops rushed into the docking bay. "We're aboard," John called as the hatch sealed behind them. "Get us out of here." The Defiant's engines roared to life. The mooring clamps tried to hold the ship, but Olivia overloaded them with a power surge. The ship broke free and pushed away from the station. Allied ships moving to intercept, Sam reported as he took his station on the bridge. 6 cruisers, blocking our exit path. Weapons hot, Lisa called from her console. But I'd rather not fire on them if we can avoid it. John took his command chair. Plot a course away from Allied space. We need somewhere neutral to regroup and figure out what's happening. Allied ships fired warning shots across their bow. The station commander's voice came over the comm. "Defiant, return to dock immediately, or we will open fire." "Olivia, can we jump?" John asked. "Not yet. The drives need another minute to charge after that shield pulse." The Allied ships fired again, this time hitting the Defiant's shields directly. "Shields holding at 80%, Lisa reported. "They're not using full power yet." John made his decision. "Return fire, minimal force. Target their engines only. We just need to create an opening." The Defiant's plasma cannons fired precisely, disabling 2 Allied ships' engines without destroying them. The remaining ships adjusted their formation, still blocking the escape route. 30 seconds to jump capability, Olivia called. Suddenly, a new voice came over the comm. "Human vessel, this is Commander Vexcar of the Kelthid Free Forces. We are moving to assist you. Check your port sensors." 3 ships appeared from behind a small moon, their design clearly Kelthid but with different markings than the Empire vessels they had fought before. "Kelthid ships?" Lisa asked in confusion. "But they're firing on the Allied blockade." The new ships attacked the Allied cruisers, creating the opening they needed. "Jump drives ready," Olivia announced. "Can we trust them?" Sam asked, looking at the Kelthid ships. "We don't have many options," John replied. "Set course to follow their vector after the jump. Let's find out what Kelthid Free Forces means." He took a deep breath. "Execute jump." The Defiant vanished into folded space, leaving the battle behind, heading toward an uncertain alliance with the most unexpected of allies. The U.S. Defiant emerged from jump space near a small rocky planet with no obvious signs of civilization. 3 Kelthid ships appeared moments later, taking positions nearby but keeping a respectful distance. "They followed us through the jump," Lisa Wright said, her hands hovering over the weapons controls. "But they're not charging weapons," Sam Reeves noted. "They're just waiting." Captain John Carter studied the strange Kelthid vessels. They had the same blade-like shape as Empire ships, but with blue markings instead of purple and visible modifications to their hulls. "Incoming transmission," Diane Miller announced. "Put it through," John ordered. The screen showed a Kelthid with dark gray scales and bright yellow eyes. Unlike other Kelthid they had seen, this one wore no armor, just a simple blue uniform. "I am Commander Vexcar of the Free Forces," the Kelthid said. "We should speak in person, Captain Carter. This planet has an old mining base. It is neutral ground." John considered the offer. "How do you know my name?" "Your fight against both the Empire and now the Allied betrayal has not gone unnoticed," Vexcar replied. "We have been watching you since your arrival in our space." After the transmission ended, John met with his officers. "It's obviously a trap," Lisa said. Dr. Alan Moss disagreed. "If they wanted to destroy us, why help us escape the Allied forces? Something else is happening here." I'll go down with a small team, John decided. The rest of you stay aboard and keep the ship ready for immediate departure. 2 hours later, John, Lisa, and Dr. Moss stood in the abandoned mining base. Dust covered everything. The air was thin but breathable. Commander Vexkar arrived with 4 other Kelthid, all unarmed. "Thank you for trusting enough to meet," Vexkar said. "I wouldn't call it trust yet," John replied. "Why did you help us?" The Kelthid commander gestured for them to sit at an old metal table. "Because we have a common enemy that is greater than either the Empire or the Allied worlds." "The Void Cascade weapon," John guessed. "Not the weapon itself," Vexkar said. "But what controls it? What controls our entire empire now?" The commander's yellow eyes narrowed. "Something called the Harbinger." Dr. Moss leaned forward. "A person. A leader. Not a person. An artificial intelligence. Ancient. Powerful." Vexkar's voice grew quieter. "It was discovered in deep space 3 years ago. Our scientists thought it would help us win the war. Instead, it took control of our leaders through neural implants." "Mind control," Lisa said skeptically. "Yes." Vexkar looked at each of them. "Those of us who resisted were branded traitors. We've been fighting from the shadows ever since." John tried to process this information. "And the Earth signal we detected at the weapon factory. The Harbinger has been studying all species, looking for weaknesses." Vexkar turned to Dr. Moss. "But your human brain patterns are different, more chaotic, less predictable. The Harbinger can't easily control humans. That's why you helped us," John realized. "You think we can resist this thing?" One of the other Kelthid stepped forward. This one had lighter scales and wore what looked like a scientist's uniform. "I am Selnav, chief scientist of the Free Forces," she said. "We have developed a device that can disrupt the Harbinger's control signals, but we cannot get close enough to use it." "You want us to carry your device to the Harbinger," John concluded. Vexkar nodded. "The Defiant has technology our ships lack. Together, we might succeed where separately we would fail." "And why should we trust you?" Lisa asked. "The Empire killed thousands of Allied civilians." "Under the Harbinger's control," Vexkar insisted. "Before it came, we fought for territory, resources, but never extinction. The Void Cascade was not our creation. It was the Harbinger's." John stood and walked around the dusty room, thinking. If Vexkar was telling the truth, both the war and the betrayal made more sense. The Earth signal, the Allied leaders' sudden turn against them. "If we help you," John said finally, "we need to know everything about this Harbinger. Where it came from, how it works, what it wants." "What it wants is simple," Vexkar replied, his yellow eyes glowing in the dim light. "The extinction of all organic life in this galaxy, starting with those who resist it most." The U.S. Defiant moved through space alongside 5 ships of the Kelthid Free Forces. Ahead of them loomed the massive central command station of the Kelthid Empire, a dark, star-shaped structure where the Harbinger's core systems were housed. On the Defiant's bridge, Captain John Carter looked at the fleet of Empire ships guarding the station. "Over 100 vessels," he said quietly. "And we have 6. Commander Vexkar stood beside him, the Kelthid's yellow eyes fixed on the station. "The numbers don't matter. Only reaching the central core matters." The past week had been spent in intense preparation. Chief Engineer Olivia Sutton had worked with Selnav, the Kelthid scientist, to integrate the disruption device into the Defiant's systems. Dr. Alan Moss had studied the Harbinger's code, looking for weaknesses. Lisa Wright and Sam Reeves had trained the crew for the coming battle. "Final checks," John called. "Olivia, status of the disruption device." "Ready, Captain," she replied from engineering. "When we're in range, it will disable the Harbinger's control signals for 6 minutes. Not a second more." "Lisa, weapons. All systems at maximum. The modifications to target Kelthid weak points are complete." "Sam, approach vector." Plotted through their defensive screen, It's tight, but possible. John nodded. Dr. Moss, are you ready? The scientist stood nearby, a neural interface attached to his temple. As ready as I can be, Captain. If we reach the core, I can upload the virus directly into the Harbinger systems. John looked at his crew, humans who had never expected to fight an AI controlling an alien empire. Then he turned to Vexcar. Signal your ships. It's time. The small fleet accelerated toward the Empire forces. The element of surprise gave them a brief advantage as they punched through the outer defensive line. The Defiant's enhanced weapons cut through 3 Empire ships before the rest realized what was happening. They're responding, Lisa called out. 30 ships breaking formation to intercept us. Launch the disruption signal, John ordered. Olivia activated the device. A wave of energy pulsed outward from the Defiant, washing over the Empire ships. On the view screen, they could see the enemy vessels suddenly lose coordination, their movements becoming erratic. It's working, Vexcar said. Their neural implants are offline. Full speed to the station, John commanded. All weapons, clear us a path. The Defiant plunged forward, its shields absorbing hit after hit as they fought their way to the station. 2 of the Free Forces ships were destroyed, their crews sacrificing themselves to block Empire torpedoes aimed at the Defiant. Station perimeter breached, Sam announced as they approached a docking port. But the disruption field is failing. 4 minutes left. The Defiant locked onto the station. John turned to his boarding team. Himself, Lisa, Dr. Moss, and 3 crew members, along with Vexcar and 2 Kelthid fighters. We move fast, John said. Straight to the core. No detours. They fought their way through the station's corridors. Empire soldiers were regaining control as the disruption field weakened, making each section harder to clear than the last. 2 minutes, Olivia's voice warned through their communicators. They reached a massive door marked with strange symbols. Vexcar placed his hand on a scanner, and the door slid open to reveal the Harbinger's core, a pulsing blue sphere surrounded by countless data terminals. 1 minute, Olivia called. Dr. Moss rushed to the main terminal, connecting his neural interface. I need time to upload the virus. Empire soldiers began to pour in from side entrances. Lisa and the security team formed a defensive circle around Dr. Moss. 30 seconds, Olivia warned. Almost there, Dr. Moss said, his face strained as the interface linked his mind directly to the Harbinger systems. The last Free Forces fighter fell. Lisa took a hit to her shoulder, but kept firing. 10 seconds, Olivia counted. Now, Dr. Moss shouted, slamming his hand down on the terminal. The blue sphere flickered, then began to pulse red. Alarms sounded throughout the station. What's happening? John asked. I've redirected the Void Cascade programming, Dr. Moss explained, disconnecting his interface. The Harbinger is being destroyed by its own weapon. The station began to shake. We need to go, Vexcar urged. Now. They fought their way back to the Defiant as the station began to break apart around them. The ship pulled away just as the Harbinger's core imploded, sending a shockwave through space that disabled every Empire ship in the vicinity. 3 weeks later, Captain John Carter stood in the Great Hall of the newly formed Galactic Council. Representatives from Earth, the Allied worlds, and the Free Kelthid had gathered to sign a peace treaty. Admiral Zexthrol, now freed from the Harbinger's influence, approached John. We owe you an apology, Captain, and our thanks. John nodded. Not just to me, to all of humanity. As he looked out at the assembled delegates from across the galaxy, John thought about the long journey from Earth's isolation to this moment. One human ship had changed the course of history. The U.S. Defiant had arrived on the galactic battlefield and brought peace instead of conquest.